won the women's 8.
Here's the lineup for this medal race: Australia, Canada, United States, New Zealand, Great Britain and Romania. So the lineup from Australia here in lane 1. They've got a silver and a gold from the World Cup circuit this year. Jess Morrison, Annabelle McIntyre doubling up from the pair. They picked up the silver medal earlier in the regatta.
In lane 2, cocked by Kristen Kitt.
Here from Canada, this crew also including their pair. They've got 4 returning members of the silver medal crew from the World Championships last year. And here the USA, coxed by Caitlin Guregian, world champions last year. 7 members of this crew were on board in that victorious crew from last year. And here the lineup from New Zealand. They won in Rotterdam on the World Cup circuit, also including their women's pair, who picked up that medal yesterday.
In lane 5, coxed by Matilda Horn and stroked by Holly Norton.
Great Britain's lineup.
Great Britain!
Coxed by Matilda Horn. Zoe Lee and Karen Bennett returning from the silver medal crew in the Rio Olympics.
And completing the field in
and the
lane
European
6,
champions, Romania, complete this 6-boat lineup.
Romania!
Australia.
Well, the call over starts. The waiting is over. The last race of the regatta. The face of Emma Dyke there in that 2 seat. Just a few final words to her crewmates, and we are ready to go.
Long wait for the last race of the 2019 World Rowing Championships is over, and the 6 crews power off the start. Camera focuses on the Kiwis, transform their performance by the addition of their women's pair, Grace Prendergast and Kerry Gallagher. What will this regatta have taken out of them? Will they have anything left in their legs in the sprint for the line? Over on that far side, the Australians with Morrison and McIntyre on board. Daniel Josia, the Romanian cox. Australia take an early lead in this race.
Well, as you say, we called it out. There's been a fair bit of doubling up these women's pairs in all 3, the Australians, the Canadians and the New Zealand crews. Will that have an impact? These athletes are so fit, they're so strong, they're so well trained. Let's see. The Australians are not holding back. They are leading and they're taking Canada with them. What an interesting shape we've got here going off the start.
Yeah, up there in lane 1, they're leading. Lane 2, just behind them. Here we see the coxswain of the United States crew, Caitlin Guregian, urging her crew on. Rhythm 40 strokes a minute from the USA. That's keeping them up alongside Australia and Canada in these early stages.
Britain and Romania at the back of the field. Just a reminder that only the first 5 crews in this race will qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. So therefore the race at the back of the field between Britain and Romania for that 5th and 6th place, as it seems in the first quarter, is absolutely crucial. Australia out in front and trucking.
As you say, Martin, absolutely crucial, these first 5 positions. In Australia it is the highest rating crew on the course, but the leading crew on the course. And over here it's the Romanians, who seem to have been dropped by a length by most of the field and half a length by the British.
Well, it's been a big call from the British performance director Brendan Purcell to put Jürgen Grobler in charge of the men's and women's team. They've done the same training programme. Is that going to be to the advantage of the British women's 8? They're back there in 5th position at the moment, ahead of the Romanians. New Zealand still in contact. Australia flying. I can't help think the Americans are going to come back to the Australians, but what a great start from that Australian crew, coached by John Keogh.
Here we've got a look in at the New Zealand crew, stroked by Jackie Gowler. She's already competed, has her sister on board, who picked up that gold medal yesterday along with Grace Prendergast.
Well, let's have a look now. The Australians, they started fast on lane number 1. They're still the fastest crew on the course. It would be a good guess that the New Zealanders and the Americans in the centre would start to take control, start to be the fastest now, but they're not being able to do that. The Australians are hanging on to that first position as we see James Rook, the cox, take a look to his right and tell his crew where they are. New Zealand are starting to come back, but it's still a half length. They're starting to move from the rest of the field, but I don't know if they're coming back on Australia at all.
Yeah, wow, what a first half from Australia. Look at that blue symbol on the Australian boat speed. They're still the fastest moving boat on the course as they come through to this 1,000-metre timing point. They'll go through first ahead of New Zealand.
America yet to show really in third place at the front of the field. The Canadians not out of it too. Britain really hearts in the mouth of supporters. Will they keep ahead of Romania for that 5th qualifying place? But at the head of the field, it's a brilliant row from the crew from Australia.
Well, I find myself saying this is what it's all about, this third quarter. But actually, the Australians have made it all about the first 1,000 of this race. They've got out so long. They're still up at 39 strokes a minute. They have dared to go for this one, and they still have a half-length lead over the crew from New Zealand. They are probably getting things the way they expected they might have done, that they're moving on the Americans, they're moving on the Canadians, but it's the Australians with this big lead at the moment.
They look so connected at the front end of the Australians. Such a nice blade placement, and that's what's keeping them ahead of the Kiwis. Look at the way they're moving away from the Americans, and the Canadians now coming back to challenge their great rivals from America. The crew stroked by Kaylee Filmer, her pairs partner Hilary Jansen's behind her. The Americans out of a medal position.
Yeah, here's that American crew, Erin Reelick in the stroke seat. If they look to their left, they'll see that Canadian crew alongside them. They want to keep their heads in their boat and row their own pan. 37 strokes a minute in that USA crew.
Well, what a fantastic race we're coming down here. We've got the green and gold and the All Blacks at the front of the field, and then we've got Canada and America vying for the bronze medal. Who could have dreamed this was going to happen? At the front of the field, Australia are still hanging on to that lead out there on the outside lane. The lead looks like it's getting a little bit smaller. It's down to 7 metres, but New Zealand have a lot to do. In that third position, Canada just being pushed out by America, and then Great Britain hanging on to the qualifying place ahead of Romania.
At the head of the field, it's the Australian stroke woman Molly Goodman, the South Australian, the mercantile man James Rook, 21 years of age, cool, calm head as New Zealand come back into this race.
Well, I'm looking at the data here beside me. Sorry to butt in, Martin. The New Zealanders were going faster than the Australians. They've done a little push. They've made a little effort. The gap is getting smaller, but as it is, we'll have to see. Here it is. The New Zealanders have got in front.
New Zealand take the lead with 250 metres to go. What a push from them. Huge boat speed turnaround from New Zealand. It's taken them on to Australia. Did Australia do too much too soon in that first half of the race?
Well, look at this now. You look, as you say, Jackie Gowler in the stroke seat. They have their rhythm. They're now moving away from the rest of the field. Those fast-starting Australians are going to be hurting so much as the Americans look like they're coming through for the bronze. I don't think they can close the gap to the silver, but it's New Zealand at the head of the field.
The Australians, they're hurting now. They've gone out so well in the first part of this race, but it's the Kiwis with a clear lead. America ahead of Canada in the race for the bronze medal. Great Britain just ahead of Romania in the race for the Olympic qualification slot. But it's the black boat of New Zealand. Amazing race from them in the last quarter. They take the gold medal. The Kiwis, yet another gold medal. Australia, wonderful silver for them. USA just hang on in that race against Canada for the bronze medal. Great Britain, delight for them as they take that 5th place. They will be going to the Tokyo Olympics ahead of Romania. Disappointment for the Romanian crew. The Romanian stroke woman hits the water in disgust at that 6th place finish. Delight though on the face of the New Zealand crew.
Well, this New Zealand crew have had such a good year, and then they put it all together when it mattered the most in the final of the World Championships. How brave were Australia? They give each other a hug. They celebrate that silver medal. They celebrate that Olympic qualification. They were so brave. The Americans here, they had to really fight for that bronze.
Here the USA, as you say, Greg, brave race from them.
Well, they were in the middle of that field, weren't they? The New Zealanders, ecstatic.
Oh, look at the smiles
so
on
many
their
smiles.
faces.
So much success for them. You see the little celebration, the words still being shared.
Double gold medal for Prendergast and Gowler, hey?
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Double silver for Morrison and McIntyre.
New Zealand women's rowing absolutely on a high. Great Britain team managed to secure that 5th qualifying place. Zoe Lee there, brought into the 8 again. I guess they'll think they've done the most important job of qualifying the boats. Think about what work comes next.
Yeah, we didn't see much of that battle for 5th and 6th on camera, but we saw that fantastic sprint from the Romanians that took them to win the European Championships. It wasn't quite the same finish from them here, finishing back in 6th. Great Britain taking that 5th place, an all-important qualifying slot.
They could have done with that sprint, couldn't they, today?
What a great 8th race that was. All the crews alongside each other, tightly packed like that.
Yeah, and the Kiwis very, very patient. I thought the Australians rode absolutely an outstanding race. The technique was just flawless, wasn't it? So long they looked.
Well, they're so determined as well. It was a risky kind of strategy, wasn't it? It was a sort of tailwind kind of race where you go out and you try and hang on, you can see it done in an 8. But the New Zealanders are just so relentless with their rhythm through the middle, and they just are too efficient, I think. The Americans couldn't come back. Did well really to come back through the Canadians or hold off the Canadians and get that bronze, I think.
Great shots from the drone show the New Zealanders crossing the line there. The Australians, that brilliant technique keeps them ahead of the Americans in bronze medal position.
There was a moment where I thought the Australians were going to hang on, you know, in that third quarter. They seemed to go away again, and I thought maybe the New Zealanders aren't going to be able to come back. And then there was just that moment. I looked down to the monitor on my left, didn't I? And I followed it on the monitor for a bit, and then we came back and got the picture. Suddenly the New Zealanders were through. They seemed to come back very quickly. The change of pace was quite sudden.
Caleb Shepherd, hands in the water, just congratulating Jackie Gowler there. The cocks of the New Zealand crew, and Stroke, absolute delight on their faces.
So there we have it. Gold for New Zealand, silver for Australia, bronze for the USA. 5 boats have Olympic rings alongside